Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. Here around the chutes, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Welcome to Texas Toast. I'm, of course, your host, Miss Helen, along with a very good friend of mine that I work very closely with, admire his music. This is one of the most amazing songwriters I know. So everybody say hello to Steve Anthony. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Great, Helen. How are you?
Doing good. You're a busy man. You've had a lot of singles out. You've done a lot of recording. But before we get to your current music, you've got such a history in music, and we have a lot of young artists that listen to our podcast, and you've done so many things. So just kind of maybe talk about the beginnings and how you started out in the music business way back.
Way back. Okay. Well, way back that was the good old dance hall days, and there were so many dance halls and so many venues to play, and it was a great, during my lifetime, it's been a great music explosion, of course. And I started playing guitar 10 years old, and just, when I started, I said, well, this is something I'm going to do all my life. And here I am. And so essentially, I started playing these dance halls and just, and getting my roots cut out there in those Texas dance halls, just playing cover songs. And, every once in a while we toy with writing a song, and nobody wanted to hear your own songs back then. It was just, you guys got to play something to dance to. So, we just stuck with the radio tunes, and, how far you want to take it. You want to take it from the dance hall all the way up to where we're at today, or, my start essentially, was that, and the better we got, the more popular we got. Of course, the more we wanted to pursue it, and started songwriting way back, and done some stints in Nashville, with some studio stuff in Nashville that really never went anywhere, but all just great experiences, and doing things, just following that career, or that dream, always looking for that dream, and seeing what's around the next corner. So
yeah, you had a gap there, but you've cooperated with, back in the days, let's see, I believe you played with David Kersh and some others.
David Kersh, Johnny Bush, we got our fame with Southern Comfort. We won back in the mid 80s. The Marlboro contests were going on. It's kind of a big thing, and for winning that Marlboro contest, we got to, of course, we got a lot of exposure with a lot of venues, and I guess, but the big event was playing at the Summit in Houston, and so we opened that show for Alabama, was the headliner, the Judds. Merle Haggard was supposed to be there, but he had some illness thing going on, and so John Conley ended up. So got to meet all those guys and girls back then, and the excitement level of playing a big show like that, where you got 15,000 people. That's that pretty much secured my dream that this is why I'm doing it, and the little bit of payment and the rewards for of getting that, it's all great. So
yeah. And well, one other thing, Kyle and I had talked about, we're doing this series, basically it's like all aspects of music. As a matter of fact, we're going to be pulling in some of your musicians for the studio musicians part. We'll talk about Rosewood here in a few minutes, but you were also a bus driver, and we wanted to get a tour bus driver on. So we're going to get
tour bus.
We're going to get a double shot here. So you drove a bus, right?
Yeah, well, I own my own bus, and I've owned Eagles since, actually I have two of them now, but I've owned my own Eagles since I bought my first one in 1990, just for the purpose of, we were on the road so much, and it was, to carry my kids were small kids, and they're growing up, and, here's dad, he's out there on the road. we never get to see him. And so I said, well, I'm just going to get me a bus. And of course I bought one, did some work on it, got it roadworthy, and ended up, taking, we had some family events where I could take the family to, to some shows. And of course, when with that, after we did that Marlboro thing, and, there were so many places we we started doing opening shows for Steve Wariner. I don't know, we did probably 10 different shows with Steve Wariner, Eddie Raven, Ricky Skaggs, John Conley, of course, the Judds, and these shows just kept coming up, and of course we were the opening bands for these shows, and so that's when kind of I started pushing the songwriting a little bit and started writing a few songs back then, to just kind of enhance our overall package. These guys are not just doing cover tunes, they're doing some of their own music, so it was kind of an exciting thing. And so the bus driving thing was all good. And then let's see, I think 1997, we got a call to go on the road with David Kersh. And so, of course, our excitement is like, hey, yeah, this is all right, So David had the number 5 song on the radio at that time, "Good Night, Sweetheart," and so we were the first. They hired me as a guitar player, and of course, they leased my bus, and so we went on the Country Across America tour, and so here I am, bus driving David Kersh and playing guitar for him, and. The story goes on and on with this bus thing, after I spent about 6-7 months on the road with David, and just decided that it was too much. I couldn't drive and play. And I know you musicians out there, you understand, it's, when you go and play a show, it's like you are the party, and the people are the party. You're just the instigators of it. And we would have it such a good time, and then to think about getting done with the show, packing the gear in the bus, and off we go, and I may drive 400, 500, 600 miles at one night after doing a show, and you can imagine how difficult that became after about, and I lasted for about 6 months, and it just, I can't be spread this thin. It's I'm going to kill me, or I'm going to kill everybody on the bus, because I'm going to run it off the road being asleep. So it's just one of those traveling things, and I just couldn't go it anymore. So I kind of gave up on the road playing guitar with David, and went back to the band that I had before. And we started doing just some cover tune shows, and lo and behold, got a call from one of my friends and said that Johnny Bush wanted to lease my bus. And so I said, well, I'm playing a lot. I really can't drive. Can you drive it for me? And so Phil, my buddy in Rosenberg, he had several coaches out on the road with a lot of different, I think he carried Toby Keith before, and the list goes on with Phil. And all the different entertainers he carried, both rock and roll and country artists. And so I left my bus with him. He took good care of it. He drove Johnny, and the story goes on. And Phil just got, man, I can't do this anymore. You think and Johnny's shows were he was kind of winding down, and he was not doing as many shows. He would do maybe one show. We would do 1 or 2 shows a week, or a month, or sometimes, maybe 2 or 3 shows a month. So the schedule was not, it's not like we were running ragged. And so, of course, Johnny knew that I was a guitar player, and he said, well, man, he said, I need a guitar player in my band. Why don't you just start bringing your guitar and playing while because you're here anyway. So there you go. There's my, I got hired by Johnny Bush, because I was the bus driver. So,
but we've heard a lot of stories of musicians also being bus drivers, but it really it really opens up a whole new perspective for people that go to live concerts or live music festivals or to a live music show. You know, you never think about all the work that bus driver has to do in the
Yeah.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you got to make sure it's there's a lot of maintenance. Anybody that owns a bus or is involved with leasing buses, they know that. I mean, you know, it's like a rolling a maintenance machine. So
And then
there's just
and then the ones that aren't musicians have to stand around and wait all the time because it's an all day thing. Load in, sound check, then
oh
it's long once you get to the venue.
It's a
Right.
long days. It's but it's you know, it's gratifying kind of stuff though. It's you know, if we didn't love it, we wouldn't be doing it. So we would be working for a living or, you know, working a job, an 8 to 5 job for a living. But that's, you know, that's not what we choose to do. And then we choose for the, you know, the I guess what you call the nightlife or just the musical life. It's a great life to be involved in music and to be involved with it this long and be where I'm at today. It's pretty gratifying and.
Yeah. Well, you did a lot of work in between. And then all of a sudden I know you've been writing songs for so many years, but I mean, just recently you've already put out 3 studio albums, all original material.
Yeah. In 3 years, well, in 4 years, 3.5 years, because it's I've put out an album pretty much the first record had 13 songs, the second 2 albums, 12 songs each. And that's kind of what my plan, you know, for shooting for future albums would be, you know, 10 to 12 songs. And so pretty much every year for 3.5 years, we put out the 3 albums. And now here I am in the 4th year of being a recording artist at Rosewood. And we are working on the 4th album and really got some good music going down on it. And about halfway in, you know, we're nearing about halfway through the year, the music year, and I'm sitting in really good shape. I've got 6 songs that are done and ready to go for mastering. So we're kind of right on track to finish up this album December, January of next year, and maybe December this year, more like probably, you know, especially with, you know, with situations and the corona and all that mess going on, that, you know, it's studio time is a little harder. Some of the guys that have been playing have been out on the road and they're doing some of the road shows, and it's a little harder to get everybody together all, you know, to get striking day and start a project. But we're looking, you know, we're looking really good for finishing up the 4th album, January, February of next year, probably. So. And
let's talk about your musicians that you work with at Rosewood. Those are some great guys.
Oh, awesome. I'll start, you know, Milo Deering. He's like a legend, you know, how can you, you can just talk about Milo for a long time. He's such a great, you know, he was involved with bringing Leanne Rimes to the world and Leanne Rimes started her career because of Milo Deering and Rosewood Studios. And so, you know, Milo play, and he's such a great, you know, he's a great person. He's a great artist. He's just got so many projects that he's done on his own as a producer and as a songwriter. And, you know, the guy is just, he's just busy. He runs his own studio in Dallas, and he's put out a lot of things just on his own. And then to have him playing on my record, you know, and he played on some of the, you know, a lot of the early Leanne Rimes things, playing steel, and Milo plays steel and fiddle, dobro, guitar. He's a great guitar player, mandolin, and now flute. He's just a great artist.
Yeah.
That's, like I said, you know, you can talk about Milo for a long time, and of course kind of lose track, but guitar, John Carroll, a legend. You know, John's played it with so many artists and such a great person, great artist. all locally. He's Austin. Bryce Clark, recently we started using Bryce on the second album, and Bryce Clark has really, added some different twists. Him and John Carroll, both, great guitar players, but totally different kind of aspect and totally different visions as to, going in the studio and looking at the way the records are produced and doing their thing. So John and Bryce and Nick Gardner, everybody knows Nick Gardner. He's great player, plays acoustic, plays electric, and drummer of the year, TCMA drummer of the year, Nate Kuhn. I mean, where it's you can't get no better than that. So that's great stuff. Nate and Travis Bishop. Travis plays with Neil McCoy, and Travis has been producing out of a studio, Stormy Cooper Media in Houston. So Travis is kind of doing that double thing of being producer and engineering, and he's just a great piano player. Great, all these people are they're just great people too to be around. We have so much fun. It's serious, it's work, but these guys, they make it where it's really fun to come to work. Bass players, we use, I've used Aiden Bubeck. We've used David DeShazo, and of recent Michael Tarabay, and I know that these any artist that's out there recording, they're familiar with all these names. All these guys are established musicians and just great players. Let's see, did I leave anybody out?
About Drew?
Did I leave anybody out, Helen?
Drew,
of course, yeah. Drew being Drew's now producing and engineering, and Kerry West, Drew Hall. Recently, with the passing of Greg, Drew has bought the Rosewood Studio. So now Drew Hall is the owner of Rosewood, and him and Kerry, they're just. He told me yesterday that they've got an intern coming in that's doing some work with them. So they're expanding, and they're busy. They've got a lot of artists coming in. They're doing Aaron Watson stuff. They're doing Joshua Ward stuff. Tracy Bird, I was in the studio yesterday doing some vocal tracks, and Tracy Bird's going to be in there today doing vocal tracks. So, these guys they're dealing with established artists every day, and they're running a great ship over there. It's
oh yes,
yeah, and for everything that but they work hard at it. It's a great atmosphere.
Well, you're surrounded with such a good team there at Rosewood, and and the product of your 3 albums. Let's talk about some of your singles. Of course, we released Dama Del Rio. That was a release that went to radio. So maybe give the listeners a background on Dama. That's a great song.
Well, Dama Del Rio, I about 7 years ago, I bought some property on the Rio Grande River, and I'm next to a Texas history landmark, the Jersey Lily, the Judge Roy Bean place over in Langtree, which I can see from my house, and it inspired that Dama Del Rio was it was a great inspiration over there, and then just it was just one of those songs about. Kind of an epic Western song about living that life back in, putting myself back in those days of Judge Roy Bean and imagining what it would have been like. And, the judge, he was obsessed with the young woman that lived abroad, of course. And so I just pulled off of that feed. And so, of course, Dama Del Rio, that's is Lady of the River, is the translation of it to English, and so the song Lady of the River became Dama Del Rio, and so I brought the lady and she is the river. So it's it just turned out to be a great single. And
Yes. And
it
then a
was,
follow-up to that. I'm sorry.
I can still imagine myself riding a horse across there and coming across that canyon at the Rio Grande River Canyon. It's so awesome.
And then a perfect segue. Run Cowboy Run was a follow-up after that.
Well, that just led me right into that kind of song, that's I've been a musician a long time, and I've been on the highway so much, and that's what my life has been about. I'm running all the time, and it's great. I'm glad I can do that. I'm blessed that I can be able to do it, and that Run Cowboy Run, great song, great story, great song. And again, I pulled in a young lady, and it's really a great storyline, but kind of along the same lines as the Dama Del Rio song. It was
yes,
one kind of led into the other.
Exactly. And then something I want to talk about too, and then we'll talk about your current Texas release, but you had released Stop and Smell the Roses, and then it got picked up by the Positive Country and Southern Gospel charts through CDX Nashville, and it went #1 just this past week.
Yeah. So awesome. Awesome. It was to that's part of that dream that you dream, as a young kid and as a young musician, if you're choosing that route, and that's your dream, is to have that, have something on the radio, and to be able to put a song out and make it to #1 on a national chart. That was it was an awesome feeling, as you can imagine. And
you got to put that #1 jersey on.
Well, I could have wore it today, but I decided I had a T-shirt on. I said, well, hell, at least I got to put a button-up shirt on before I talk to Helen, so she don't think I'm a rag.
Oh, no, you're good. So speaking of radio and your singles, your current single is Full of Leather, and you're actually, I'm claiming you as my first stop for your radio/interview tour, but you're hitting a lot of towns coming up in the next week or so, radio stations.
Yeah, we're going to Comanche, going to Fairfield, San Antonio, Stephenville, cowboy capital of Texas.
You'll fit in perfect really. There. Yeah, Feel a Leather. Feel a Leather or Run Cowboy Run could be their theme song.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I fit into that world there in Stephenville, in that cowboy world. So.
Yeah, well, a lot of good things going on, and of course we'll be keeping up with everything that you're doing, and thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experiences, and I know that nothing but good success coming down the road for you.
Well, I thank you for having me on, and
of course, you'll be coming to fish with me pretty soon. Steve's a good friend. We're buds. It's like we're like family. Literally, we're like family. And I work close with Steve. And but I'm telling you, you need to find his music. It's on any digital platform. Steve Anthony, and I've just the plethora of songs that you've written. You're like some of the songwriters we've had on the podcast. It's just like when you look at the catalog and the list, it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, that's what excites me about my future, is that we have so much material done, and we're releasing songs from the second album, and we've got 2 or 3 more releases from it. We've got another gospel song that's coming, that's being mastered right now as a single in Georgetown studio, and you've heard it, and
yes,
it's going to be a great gospel song. It
it's
could be
awesome.
One of those. Yeah. So I'm really excited
amazing.
about that. And, we just have so much music for the future to, and that's what I encourage about artists. It just, you can get out on the road and you kind of get hung up and playing. You don't take that time, take the time out, you songwriters and artists, and just stop a little bit, or stop and smell the roses, So
that's right. That's
slow
right.
down every once in a while and go get a pen and sit down and reflect some things and write some songs and get, you know, for me, it's like I said, you know, I've got such a great catalog, and I'm continually writing every day. And
trust me, I know.
And so we've got a lot of new material that's going to come out, and the music's it just keeps getting better. Everything's getting better. Everybody that's contributing to it, all the great musicians in the studio, and Drew and Carrie, and you know, we're just having a great time. But we're working hard. You know, it's not just about having fun. It's about working hard, and we're working hard, and we're trying to stay ahead. And like I said, we've got a great catalog of music, and
Yes.
You've heard a lot of it. And so
Very familiar. Very familiar. But yeah, 3 albums. Check out Steve Anthony Music, A Simple Life, Carrying on Tradition, and The Cowboy Way. Thanks so much,
Cowboy.
Steve.
Thank you.
And with a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say, well, you can go